Okay, so Mary is up here in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, and we want to get her down here to Stuart, Florida, near Palm Beach. How do we do that? Well, let's look. I'll switch to a regular map instead of the satellite view because it'll be easier to see. We'll start out by sailing down the Chesapeake Bay. Then we could sail right out the mouth of the bay into the Atlantic Ocean. Once in the ocean, we would head south around Cape Hatteras, and then we would angle southwest and head to our destination down in Florida. But we have other choices actually. Although you might not expect it from this big picture view of the map, we can actually make it all the way to Florida, taking a series of rivers, sounds, and canals. That path is called the InterCoastal Waterway, or ICW for short. I'll zoom in so you can see how that's possible. We would head south from Norfolk, Virginia on the North Landing River, which almost looks like a canal when it runs east. It opens up into Currituck Sound. We take the land cut at Coinjock to the North River. That empties into Albemarle Sound. We'd cross the sound and take the Alligator River. And then a canal to the Pungo River. Then we'd cross Pamlico Sound, take Adams Creek and Harlow Creek, and that would get us to just inside Cape Lookout in North Carolina, and we'd be about a quarter of the way there. We could keep this sort of thing up all the way to Florida, but we'd rather not. While this way is protected from rough conditions we may encounter in the ocean, there are other hazards. There's a lot of bridges. Our mast is pretty tall, and sometimes we'd have to wait for a low tide to cross under them. Lots of drawbridges too, and we'd have to wait for them to open. Lots of the way the water is shallow, and with Hurricane Matthew having come through, there will be lots of shoals that will have moved around that we might run aground on. So we could go out in the ocean all the way from the Chesapeake Bay to Florida. Our plan A is to take the ICW to Cape Lookout and then sail the ocean to Florida. We might do that as a single offshore voyage, or we might make it in a few smaller hops. Or we might do some other combination where we go offshore away, then take the ICW away, and so on. It mostly depends on the weather. Oh, and the bridges. There is a drawbridge that has not been operating properly since Matthew, and we could be forced to go offshore to get past it no matter what. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, what's going on?
I'm knitting and we're sailing down the Chesapeake.
All right.
And we have a friend with us. Say hi to Chris.
Howdy. It's great.
And we're on our way down, going south, taking Mary down into Florida so she's nice and warm. And then we get to go to the Bahamas in the spring.
taking the ICW to Beaufort, North Carolina, it was time to head out on the Atlantic. We did a 2-night passage from Beaufort to Charleston, South Carolina. Pretty good run on the ocean from Charleston down to Jacksonville. Only one little squall in the night. 3 separate times we were joined by pods of dolphins that hung around and played in our bow wing for a half hour or so. It's really great to just sit on the bow of the boat and watch the dolphins play.